Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys have been well and everything has been going okay. So today I want to dive into something that sits right at the heart of the twin flame journey and yet is often misunderstood, overlooked, or brushed aside just as a personal issue. But the truth is, this one pattern is shaping the way so many of us divine feminines experience our connection with our divine masculine, our self-worth, our ability to even receive love from our divine counterpart. And this is a topic suggested by one of you. So thank you for the suggestion. And it's something that you wanted me to talk about. Recently saw in the comments that you wanted me to talk about this topic, and hence why we're going to touch on self-worth, perfectionism, and intimacy wounds on the twin flame journey, twin flame path. So, so many of you guys come to me, you talk about this all the time in our one-to-one sessions, right? About the ability to receive intimacy, like what is intimacy, and because you see the 3D the 3D the 3D definition of intimacy in itself is very different to what we experience as divine feminines on a twin flame journey, right? Because intimacy in itself is multi-layered, multifaceted. And on a twin flame journey, it's totally different because intimacy in itself is felt multidimensionally. See, that's one thing. So intimacy in the 3D world, in a 3D relationship, is very different. It's offered surface level. So the intimacy in itself is surface level. And that is the wound of perfectionism and conditional worthiness. It comes from the 3D mindset, 3D conditioning. So that's why, so many of you guys write to me and say things like you feel blocked from receiving love. You wish for intimacy, but when you get close, you panic or sabotage it, or you don't feel safe unless it's perfect. You see, there's no such thing as perfection, you see. And even then, you do not feel good enough. And when that happens, as divine feminines, we start to believe that this block is about the external. It's about abundance. It's about looks. It's about timing. It's about our divine masculine rejecting us. It's about everything about the outside, the appearance, everything. But when we go deeper, what we discover is that block is rooted in a much more ancient wound. The belief that we are not lovable as we are. So let's take a moment to let this really sink in. And when the wound is active, it just doesn't block love. It blocks intimacy. It blocks abundance. It blocks flow. It's a direct hit on the sacral. Because deep down, we don't feel safe being seen. So today, I'm going to walk you through exactly why this happens, how perfectionism shows up as a trauma response on the twin flame journey, and why intimacy feels threatening when our nervous system doesn't feel worthy, and most importantly, how we can begin to heal and stabilize into a state where love can feel safe at the moment, not in the future, not someday. So let's delve right into it. All right. So the core illusion that one has to be perfect before one can be loved. The first thing we need to name is that we need to name the illusion itself. The illusion is, if I were to fix myself, if I were to tidy up every flaw, if I get it right, then I deserve love. And how does that translate? If I'm a certain way, if I look a certain way, if I'm, in a certain way in terms of appearance or anything, then my divine masculine will love me. Or only when I'm a certain way will my divine masculine accept me or value me or appreciate me. Now, many of us carry this unconsciously from childhood, even past lives or even beyond. You may have grown up in an environment where affection, attention, or approval was only given when you performed. So this performance starts to come in. That's why I keep talking about that performance stage, right? Wounded feminines go through when you have performed, achieved, or pleased. So when your nervous system wired itself to equate love with performance, this is what happens. So on the twin flame journey, this magnifies this illusion, because our divine masculine's energy is so powerful, right? Every time when we are around our divine masculine, I'm going to quickly, sorry about that, I'm going to quickly do a mic test, just in case. Okay, perfect. All right. So as I was saying, oops. Apologies for that. I just remember I forgot to do a mic test. But I'm glad it's been flowing fine so far. So the thing is, the twin flame journey itself magnifies this illusion. So when we have responded a certain way throughout our lives, when we have performed, when we equate this certain behavior to this certain achievement, or so our nervous system is deeply wired to equate love with performance. So the twin flame journey magnifies it, because as I was saying, our divine masculine's energy is so powerful. Every time we are around our divine masculine, it feels like the stakes are higher. We think, if I don't get this right, then my divine masculine is going to see my flaws and leave. So we overperform, we overcook. Like example, you're not the kind of person who would cook, or you're not the kind of person who would go above and beyond for a boyfriend, but here you are cooking for your divine masculine. You are packing food for him and delivering it. Like you start to do things you would never do. That's what we do, right? In the bubble phase, the phase where we have first met our divine masculine, we totally go above and beyond because we are afraid. If I don't get this right, my divine masculine is going to leave. So we try to be in our best. But the thing is, when we try to be in our best, we are actually performing, right? So that is the flaw. Because in a normal connection, of course, as an affectionate person, we will always be an affectionate person. But we won't be going above and beyond to like deliver food to his house, right? Like I'm just talking about some extreme situations, or gifting him, or buying him a lot of gifts, or trying to fill up every gap, or trying to impress him, or something like that, like overdoing things, like it may look like love bombing. In some cases, it may look like, but that's the reality. You can't really associate with love bombing, because as divine feminines, we're doing it from our soul. And the reason why we do it is because to us, we are seeing our divine husband again. So it's like after a long time, our divine masculine, our divine husband returns home. And what is the most natural biological thing any woman would want to do is feed a husband, right? So we are seeing our divine masculine as our divine husband, but he is seeing this completely total stranger women, female, trying to be perfect, trying to be over the top, trying to overdo things, that it's a total put off. Can you see what's happening here? As the divine feminine, we are seeing the truth. My divine masculine is my divine husband. But our divine masculine feels the connection, absolutely, recognizes the connection, but it's not able to see beyond that. So even though in the initial stages he might reciprocate to the performance, but he will start running because he's afraid. What is this becoming? A normal woman wouldn't behave like that. Why is she going above and beyond? Is there something wrong with her? Why is she cooking for me? Why is she caring for me? In a world where women are nasty, why is this girl or this woman doing this for me? So something is wrong with her. So this is exactly how our divine masculine sees it. That's when, to stop the flow of performance, he says things like he's not interested, or stop cooking him food, or stop gifting him gifts, or he just slow goes, or he cuts off. But the truth is, union is not a price for being perfect. Union is the byproduct of being real, and only when the truth sings will the relationship ever shift. And that's why so many of you feel blocked. You're not actually blocked from love. You're blocked from believing that you deserve it without first achieving perfection. So perfectionism is the trauma response. So let's talk about perfectionism. Again, perfectionism, right? Perfectionism is really not about ambition. It's about survival. It comes from a deep fear. If I make a mistake, I won't be safe. So this fear can show up as always trying to look flawless for your divine masculine, constantly fixing, editing, or over preparing yourself before intimate moments, or without withholding vulnerability because you fear rejection if you show your true self. For example, if you feel like you feel like you're not a certain way, and if you're a certain way, your divine masculine will love you more. Things like that. So on the twin flame journey, our divine masculine acts as a mirror. He doesn't just jump our light, he mirrors our hidden shape. So if we don't have self-love, he mirrors that. If we are not interested in ourselves, he's going to tell you straight that he's not interested in you. And so when he gets close, instead of intimacy feeling safe, it feels exposing. So the perfectionist within us panics. What if he sees the real me? But what is the real me? That is a question you got to ask yourself. So you either pull away, overcompensate, or collapse into shame. And this is why intimacy feels blocked. It's not that our divine masculine doesn't want closeness. It's that our nervous system is coded to equate closeness with danger. So what's the link? At this point you might ask me, hey, what's the link between self-worth, intimacy, and receiving? So here's where it gets even deeper. Abundance, love, and intimacy all flow through the same energetic channel, our ability to receive. See, divine feminines, we go through this a lot. The ability to receive. If we don't feel worthy of love, we don't feel safe receiving intimacy. If we don't feel worthy of abundance, we won't feel safe receiving any kind of abundance in any way possible. You see where I'm coming with that, right? It's the same pattern. I must prove myself first. For that, I must earn it. So when our divine masculine gets close, what happens there? Instead of allowing the intimacy, our system treats it as a test. Am I worthy? Did I do enough? will he stay? Am I taking care of him enough? Am I making sure, the temperature in my apartment is perfect? I'm playing his favorite music on the background. I'm ensuring the scent smells perfect. All these things actually don't matter. It's actually an outlay of the necessity of perfectionism. Like, if I do this, will he stay? But the truth is, worthiness is not earned, it's inherent. And this is the lesson our divine masculine mirrors to try to teach us, that we are always worthy, and the only thing is the belief that we were not, you see. So the fear of intimacy actually equates to the fear of being seen. So I want to go like even further, right? The fear of intimacy, it's not really a fear of another person, it's the fear of being seen. So think about it. Intimacy literally means into me see. Right? Let's play with the word a little. So when our divine masculine comes close, he sees not just the parts of us we are proud of, but also the parts we are still hiding from ourselves. And that's terrifying. So if it was a guy we don't really care about, all these things don't matter. But this is terrifying, not because our divine masculine is trying to judge us, because we are judging ourselves. We can't accept our flaws, so we project that rejection onto our divine masculine. If he pulls back, we assume it's because we are not enough. If he gets close, we fear he will see too much. But here's the paradox. In our twin flame journey, our divine masculine doesn't need us to be perfect. Our divine masculine doesn't need us, his divine feminine, to be perfect. What our divine masculine needs us to be is to be present, not performing, not acting, not overdoing it, not overly complimenting him, not saying that he is Superman or a superhero, is great at everything. Union cannot be built on performance. It can only be built on truth. And I'll say this over and over and over and over again. And that's why our twin flame, our divine masculine, mirrors our worthiness. So this is when our divine masculine mirror is both brutal and sacred. So when we don't feel worthy, our divine masculine will often behave in ways that seem to confirm our fear. He will definitely withdraw. So deep down, when our divine masculine is pulling back, we already know that's when the performing intensify. Instead of pulling back to his rhythm, we intensify it. So he might withdraw, go silent, or choose someone else temporarily. Category 1, twin flames. But what he's really doing is mirroring our own belief back to us. It's not that our divine masculine doesn't love us, it's that he's holding up a mirror to show us the exact place we don't love ourselves. So let's go back to certain words, like he rejects you, the words, because we are rejecting ourselves. That's why our divine masculine is rejecting us. It's not that our divine masculine doesn't love us. You got to get that really, really clearly within you. And until you learn to love that part of yourself, until as divine feminines we learn to love that part of ourselves, union will and cannot stabilize. Because here's the truth. If we cannot sit with our imperfection, neither can our divine masculine. If we cannot hold ourselves in vulnerability, neither can our divine masculine. Our healing becomes his healing. Our acceptance becomes his permission to drop his own mask. So, from performance to presence, how do you heal this? Number 1, stop trying to perform. The next time you notice yourself going into fixing mode, pause. Instead of asking, how can I make myself better? Ask, can I allow myself as I am? Number 2, reframe intimacy. Intimacy is not a test of worthiness. It's a practice of presence. It's not about being flawless. It's about being honest. Number 3, regulate your nervous system. Fear of intimacy is not logical. So practice grounding. So it's a gentle embodiment to signal. It's a signal to our system that says, I'm safe to be seen. Number 4, remember the paradox. When we stop trying to earn love, love flows in. When we stop hiding, intimacy deepens. When we stop fixing, healing actually happens. So, in some cases, sometimes a divine masculine might complement a divine feminine. But divine feminines often freeze, They often assume that the divine masculine is lying because how could it be true? And would push the divine masculine away. Why? Because the divine feminine's nervous system does not feel safe receiving. So compliments expose the gap between how a divine feminine sees herself and how the divine masculine is seeing her, and this can reverse. So when we are over complimenting our divine masculine, this is what happens to him as well. So this is the mirroring that happens. But once divine feminines start working on themselves, on self-acceptance, something shifts. And when that happens, our divine masculine mirrors that too. So when the topic of compliments come in again, instead of deflecting, both the divine feminine and divine masculine tend to allow it, right? So this tiny change in frequency can strengthen the field because we are no longer mirroring that to one another, When the divine feminine does not reject herself anymore, our divine masculine doesn't need to mirror that rejection. So this is how a small shift ripples through the entire union. So let's talk about practical integration. Again, I don't want to talk about cliche stuff, like do this, do that. There's only one simple thing I will say. Do what works for you, because we are all different, right? And then we're all from different star systems. We're all different kinds of star seeds from all over the galaxies. So when it comes to integration, some methods would be, deep down, you can have a conversation with yourself, your higher self, to remind yourself that you are enough right now. So this rewires the brain to anchor worthiness in the present, not in the future. Another thing is body awareness. Notice when you tighten or shrink during intimacy. Instead of abandoning yourself, stay present with sensation. This teaches the body that love can be safe. Number 3, release perfectionism. Write down the rules you believe you must need to be to love, and then do something about it. Bury them, burn them, and say it out aloud that you don't need to earn love. You don't have to earn love. So these are certain, again, you can tweak it, and there's so many ways to integrate this, and I'm just giving you some really general practices. All right, but these practices are not about forcing union. They're about stabilizing you so that union can naturally unfold. So here's why this is so important. If you continue to chase perfection, you will never feel safe in union, because union will always feel like a test. So that's why this matters for union a lot. But when you heal the pattern, something incredible happens. You feel safe being seen. You no longer interpret your divine masculine's withdrawal as rejection. You no longer collapse when intimacy arises. And that stability changes everything, because now the union field becomes a place of safety, not performance. And that's when our divine masculine can finally relax into the connection that was always meant to be. So, to everyone watching this, remember, your divine masculine doesn't need you to be perfect. our divine masculine needs us to be present. So, fear of intimacy is really a fear of being seen. And the moment we allow ourselves to be seen, flaws, wounds, imperfections, and all, is the moment union begins to stabilize. So, guys, if this teaching resonated with you, let me know in the comments, what do you notice about perfectionism? Where do you notice perfectionism showing up in your journey? How has it affected intimacy with your divine masculine? And if you would like deeper personalized guidance, you can book a first time twin flame psychic guidance session with me. The link is in the description below. So thank you for being here. Thank you for your courage on this path. And remember, union is not a reward for perfection, it's the natural outcome of presence. Again, thanks to you guys in the audience for recommending this topic. All right, I'll see you all in the next discourse. I've introduced more healings. Do check out my website. It can really help you in your journey. Again, what calls out to your soul. So do check it out as well. All right, take care and see you all again. Bye bye.